welcome to the IsobellPants pattern tutorial. In this video I'll show you how to sew the IsobellPants. I made this pattern years back when I wanted some pants that really fit me and had the design I wanted with wide legs and a fitted waistband. And from there I kind of developed the pattern, added things that I wanted, for example pockets. And throughout the years I made so many versions of these pants. So in the video you'll see me making these shorts. Even though they're shorts, the pattern directions are exactly the same as with pants. So yeah, please don't be confused. You'll see me making shorts, but this is a pants pattern tutorial. I'll first talk a little bit about fabric suggestions and materials. If you want to skip that, you can just go straight to the pattern tutorial. What you need is the pattern printed, and then you need the fabric. I'm going to talk a little bit more about fabric suggestions after. And then you need interfacing. It doesn't really matter if this is knit interfacing or woven. I have used both and it's been working really fine. And then you need a zipper, preferably not as long as this, but 18 centimeters. But if you have a long one, you can just cut it, no problem. And then you need trouser hooks and bars. This is to close the front. And for fabric suggestions, I really recommend using some kind of mixed fabric that has 95 to 98% woven materials and then 5 to 2% of elastic fabric such as spandex or elastane. If you're in between sizes, I would recommend going with the waist measurement. The pattern is available on my Etsy, so here we go. So to print a pattern, I really recommend using Adobe Acrobat Reader because with this you can select your specific size in the layers. Adobe Acrobat Reader is free online, so you can just download it and then you'll open the format you want, either A4 or US letter. And then you will go to the layers and then select the size you want. And remember to print in its actual size, which is a scale 100%. And after you have printed, you should measure the test square. I usually cut off one side and then the bottom here, and then you should match up the diamonds here so it becomes one full diamond. First thing is to cut out the pattern. It will say on the pattern itself how many pattern pieces to cut out. In this pattern, the fly facing is already attached to the pants, which is the part you can see here. But then the right leg is going to have the zipper fly guard, and it therefore needs to be cut a little. So you just fold this line and then you're going to cut the first layer here, which is going to be the right side leg. Then the left leg is going to be the one with the fly facing. So the zipper can be opened from the right side. Traditionally, the zipper opening has been on the left for women and right for men, but as that is just rooted in tradition and as a right-handed person it's very impractical, I'll choose to have the zipper opening on the right side on my pattern. If you're left-handed, you could do the opposite and have the zipper opening on the left side. To make it a bit easier for you guys to follow along, I'm going to be marking the legs. So this is the right leg and this is the inside of the legs that you will be seeing. So the right leg is the one with the zipper fly guard and that's why it is shorter. And now I'm marking all the darts. And don't worry, I'm using a friction ball pen, which means the markings will come off when I apply heat during ironing. You can use a pen, the pins, or make small notches to mark the darts. Use page 1.3 to see where you should apply interfacing and transfer the pattern markings to the fabric. To stabilize the pocket opening, I'm going to iron on some iron-on interfacing, just a wide strip. It is around ½ an inch or a bit under 1.5 centimeters. And this is on the inside of the leg. Apply iron-on interfacing on the right side of the fly guard. All the waistband pieces are going to be cut out twice because we're going to have an outer waistband, which is the one facing outwards, and a waistband lining facing inwards. And I'm only ironing on interfacing on the outer waistband. And as directed by the pattern, I'm just making these small cut markings, which is telling me this side is facing the zipper, which is the center. Secure the edges by using an overlocker or the zigzag stitch on your normal machine. I'm overlocking the pockets and the sides and also the zipper fly facing and as well here. I'm not overlocking the top parts, the pocket opening or the waistband. I'm also folding over the slipper fly guard like this and overlooking here and this curve. Sew the darts on both the front and back legs. Sew the darts using a straight seam. First I back tack, but at the end I do not back tack, I simply tie a knot. Remember to press every seam you make, including the darts. First thing is to sew the zipper. Place both front legs right sides together like this. Pin the front crotch curve. We're going to sew the crotch curve all the way from the crotch to the center front at the waist. I'm using my ruler to draw the crotch curve. Draw a straight line from the marking where the zipper starts all the way to this point, which is marked in the pattern. From where the crotch curve starts all the way to the marking where the zipper starts, you're going to sew with a short stitch length, and from the mark all the way up to the waist, you're going to sew with the longest stitch length. So here I'm sewing with a long stitch length, then changing to a short one, back tacking a bit, and then sewing the crotch curve with a short stitch length. Press the seams open. We are attaching the zipper to the seam allowance for the zipper fly guard. So just fold your pants over like this because it's only going to be attached to the kind of seam allowance part here. Just pin it together. Zipper should be facing the fabric. I'm doing some basting stitches here because I don't like to sew the zipper with the pins in it. The zipper fly guard is also going to be attached here. I am just putting in some pins before doing the basting stitches. I like doing the basting stitches when sewing the zipper because then you can take out the pins. Use a zipper foot when sewing the zipper and sew a straight stitch here as close to the zipper as you can get. You have to open and close the zipper a bit when sewing. Fold the zipper over like this and make a top stitch here. Give it a good press. And now we have sewn the zipper fly guard. We're going to attach a zipper to the fly facing on the left side leg. To do that, we're just folding it over like this and putting in some pins. And I'm also just folding the zipper fly guard out of the way, and I'm making the mark where the zipper is meeting the fly facing and putting in some pins, and I'm not pinning the leg itself as you can see here. Then I'm making some basting stitches, sewing together the zipper and the fly facing. Then I'm just sewing the zipper. Now we're going to top stitch the fly facing. So the fly facing is attached to the leg, and just fold over the fly guard so you're not sewing that, and pin the fly facing to the leg itself. Right now I am pinning where the zipper ends, and I've already pinned where the zipper curve should start, and I'm also marking this on the outside of the pants. I'm sorry my head is in the way, but I thought I would include it anyways because you can see me drawing a line to where I should top stitch the fly facing curve. You can actually use the fly guard paper pattern piece to help you draw up the top stitch for the fly facing. Then top stitch this curve here. It's about 3 centimeters wide. I forgot to film this, but when you're coming to the curve, you have to stop and fold over the zipper fly guard towards the left leg, so the zipper fly guard is kind of stitched over a bit when it comes to just the curve here. Alternatively, you can sew it in place after. Then you're going to seam rip the stitches we made here with the longest stitch length, and then you can finally see your zipper. At this point, I recommend taking out the basting stitches we did earlier. I'm stay stitching this part of the pocket lining, which means sewing a straight seam. This will make sure that the pocket's opening won't stretch out whilst you wear them. Add the pocket lining to the pants, right sides together. Sew the pocket linings to the pants, and you only need to sew between the two sewing guide marks marked in the pattern. Press and stitch the seam allowance towards the pocket. Add the pocket bag to the pocket lining and sew all around it from here to here. Turn the pocket right side out and give it a good press. Sew a seam or basting stitch here and here to keep the pockets in place when sewing the rest of the pants. At this point, we're actually going to seam rip a couple of centimeters of the front crotch curve here, and we're sewing together the front inner leg to the back inner leg, right sides together. Sew the legs together and give it a good press after. Fold the pants so you'll see the U-curve from the front legs to the back legs. Now we're going to sew the crotch curve from front to back. And this is the reason why I seam ripped, because this will make sure that the seam allowance is facing upwards, and I think it looks so much nicer than the seam allowance in the crotch being pressed apart. Make sure you back tack over the seam that was seam ripped. I recommend sewing an extra seam on top of the first one you sew, just to have the crotch extra secure. And after sewing the crotch curve, fold the pants like this, and then you can sew the outer sides together, front and back legs. I was not quite happy with how I filmed how to do the waistbands on these green shorts, so I decided to reshoot the process sewing another pair of pants. So right now you'll see those clips. It is of me sewing some grey pants. Here you have the two waistband parts. The top one with interfacing is the outer waistband, and the one on the bottom is the waistband lining. Since the outer waistband and the waistband lining is going to be sewn right sides together, they need to be mirrored, which means that the front right waistband pieces are on the right side of the frame and the front left waistband pieces are on the left side of the frame for both the outer waistband and the waistband lining. After sewing the parts together, it will look like this. Then you're going to sew the waistbands right sides together, so just place them on top of each other like this. And then sew the top part of the waistbands together. Just showing you quickly how it's done with the green pants. So the top parts of the waistband together. I'm trimming down the seam allowance of the waistband lining, and then the outer waistband, I make some notches in the seam allowance. I do this because the waistband is curved and it will look a lot nicer when I'm doing the notches. I'm pressing the seam allowances apart, then I'm pressing both the seam allowance towards the waistband lining. Then I'm edge stitching the seam allowance towards the waistband lining. Then I'm folding the waistband over and giving it a good press. Now we're going to be attaching the waistband to the pant itself. Attach the outer waistband to the top part of the pants, right sides together. Match up the side seams of the waistband to the side seams of the pant itself. In the center front, the waistband should be 1 centimeter or so longer than the pant itself. The back waistband will have some markings which will match up with the darts on the back legs. Now I have pinned the waistband to the pant, and as you can see in the center front, the waistband is 1 centimeter longer. And then I'm just sewing all around. To sew the front of the waistband, we're going to fold the two parts of the waistbands right sides together, and we're going to make a tiny hem on the waistband lining. Just make sure it's a tiny bit longer than the seam between the pant and the waistband. Then fold it over like this and sew a straight line, making sure that you have the hem on the inside part of the waistband. So now when I'm folding the waistband right side out, it will have a very crisp, sharp, finished edge. To attach the waistband lining to the pant, we're going to do the stitch in the ditch method, which is that we're sewing in the ditch, which here is the seam between the pant and the outside waistband, which we sewed earlier. This stitch will capture the hem of the inside waistband, which you will see me folding up here. So make sure when you're folding the inside of the waistband that the hem is a tiny bit longer than the seam between the pant and the outer waistband. This will make sure that the stitch in the ditch will sew over the hem of the inside waistband. When you do the stitch in the ditch, you have to sew from the front side, so I'm taking in some pins, and I can take out the pins on the underside, or else I'm just sewing over them, but this is not really recommended. Here you're seeing me use the stitch in the ditch method. I'm sewing a stitch right in the middle of the seam, and this will make sure that the seam is almost invisible from the outside, especially if you're having a bit more stretchy or flowy fabrics. The pants are almost finished, and now we're hemming the pants. I'm making first a hem of 1 centimeter, and then I am adjusting to see how long my shorts should be. Because you're doing this with pants, you should definitely try them on, see how long they should be. I am quite a short person, so when I am sewing the pants, I am folding the hem up 3.5 centimeters, but you should adjust the hem to your length, so try them on before you sew the hem. After hemming the pants, the only thing left is to add some form of closure on the waistband. I'm using trouser hooks and bars. You can also use buttons if you want. I found that I prefer using 2 sets of trouser hooks and bars. And I do not sew through the outer layer of the waistband here. I only sew through the fabric on the inside waistband when attaching the trouser hooks. I attach the trouser hooks approximately 1 centimeter from the center front. When I sew the trouser bars, I do go through the fabric because it won't show from the outside. And this is how the shorts turned out. To end this video, I wanted to show you guys the last 2 pair of pants I made using this pattern. I hope this video tutorial has been helpful. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.